Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
And let's talk horror.
Today we're going to do a review on the new 2024 Watchers.
So, a young lady gets stranded in an extensive, immaculate forest in the Western Ireland, where after finding shelter, she becomes trapped with 3 other strangers, and they are terrorized by some mysterious creatures each night. So, today we're going to give you our positives,
our negatives,
and then we're going to spoil the film for you.
So let's get to the positives. So some of the positives in this movie, less is more. I thought seeing the creature monsters kind of scurrying in the woods and just like seeing the outlines of them in the darkness was way scarier.
Yeah, but what they did show in this movie, we had some great visuals. Mm-hmm. A lot of the camera shots, the bird's eye views, a lot of the beautiful countryside of Ireland. Just amazing, beautiful scenery. We got a lot of in woods shots. Thankfully, there wasn't like over half of the movie of someone just walking in the woods, but a lot of the shots they had throughout the woods and the countryside was absolutely beautiful. And you know how Ashley likes her bird's eye view shots.
I do like a bird's eye view shot. We had amazing performances by all of the actors, especially our 4 leads. They did amazing and really made you feel for them. You felt the dread, you felt the sadness. They all did amazing.
Yeah, and the score really enhanced that dread. Mm-hmm. The score is something that I loved from beginning to end. A lot of the mystery, a lot of the dread that came along with this movie was very much enhanced by the score that went along with it.
And the monsters, the Watchers, they looked really great. They were creepy looking. I'm not going to spoil too much about them, but they did look really good.
Yeah. Some of the close-ups weren't as great, but they did look really good when you could see them. So those are some of our spoiler-free positives. Now let's get into some of our spoiler-free negatives.
So some of the negatives, it was quite a slow burn. There was a lot of sitting in silence, watching some weird
like real world
type TV show.
Nobody gave a fuck about.
Yeah, no. It was very much a slow burn.
There's a lot of bad VFX in this one. I don't want to say a lot, but the VFX stuff they did. There's some bird shots. There's another shot towards the end of the movie where they have multiple people, and the VFX just did not look very, very good in those shots.
There's a lot of lore that really doesn't go anywhere. I feel like they just tried to mix too many things into the story, and it felt like they didn't go anywhere after It was brought up.
Yeah, they would talk about one creature and then another creature and then another creature, whether it be a changeling or a fairy or a werewolf or a vampire, whatever have you, because this is spoiler free. But they never really went into depth about each different character, each different lore thing. So it feels like an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
It absolutely does.
I was hoping that, and again, I think Ashana Shyamalan has a bright future. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the cinematography of this movie is great. The writing is fantastic, but I wish she would have taken a bigger chance on her directorial debut. Again, I'm not talking bad about her because I think this movie was very, very well done.
Yeah, this was one of the positives of this year for sure for us as a whole, and
the formula of it.
It is, but again, she grew up with this. Like this is what really
this is what her inspiration, her influence.
Yeah. So I mean, you can't be too hard on her. She still made a great story.
Right. Oh, they made it a fantastic movie. But it just, like I said, I wish you would have taken a shot. I mean, again, directorial debut, be safe. I get it. Hopefully we get to see more of her and maybe some original, because this was adapted to the screen by her. I hope we can get some original Ashana Shyamalan stuff, because, like I said, the pacing, everything about this felt like an M. Night film, but I'm very excited to see what she has for us in the future. So those are some of our spoiler-free negatives. Now, guys, if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. It's definitely worth a watch. And then come back and listen to us spoil this film.
Alright guys, so now we're going to spoil things. So it starts off with the death of John, who you find out later is Kira's husband. And he's running through the woods, kind of like watching the light because he doesn't want it to get dark for some reason. And before he dies, he looks over and he's shocked and he's like, this is impossible, or something along the lines of that. And then he dies.
Yeah. And obviously he sees himself, or he sees his wife, Kira, somebody.
He sees something that's impossible in his mind.
Right. Well, we find out that there's all these different holes, and they lead to like an underground tunnel. And in those tunnels is where the Watchers hang out during the day. Well, Mina doesn't believe any of this. She's played amazingly by Dakota Fanning.
Mm-hmm.
She goes down into one of the holes to try to prove that it's not real. And while she's down there, she finds a bunch of like old trinkets and souvenirs and stuff like that. But she also finds a Watcher.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our first time seeing a Watcher, and it tries to go into the light to get her, and it burns its hand. And this is when she realizes, like, oh shit, Madeline isn't lying. Because she had this feeling that Madeline was lying.
Yeah, like she's trying to hold them there captive against their will, like,
right.
You know, making this whole story up.
Right. Because there's rules that you have to follow.
Yes.
Always stay in the daylight. Don't turn your back on the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Never open the door after dark.
Yeah. So she's like, why do we have to follow all these rules?
Right.
It seems made up.
There's a little too much going on here.
So we find out that the Watchers can actually mimic and shapeshift into them. So they can become whoever they are. It takes them a minute to like form their faces, but...
And it's not always accurate. Like there's always a little thing different about them.
But that's why they're always watching. They're trying to learn.
Yeah, they're trying to learn. And that's why they have to stand in front of the mirror so they can learn everything about them. But at one point, Daniel snaps, one of the kids that's there, and he locks Mina and Madeline outside. Mm-hmm. And they go and they hide in like this little brush area. And you see some of the Watchers going right over them.
Yeah.
And they realize that they're not there. And they freak out. And so they start, the Watchers start spreading out looking for Mina and Madeline. And then they finally are able to get back into the coop, as they call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so they're super angry after this because they broke the rules. So they're like banging on the glass, and this is when they find a door in the floor.
Like a trap door.
Yeah, that goes down into like a bunker.
And like I said, right here, you're like, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
There's a bunker inside this coop the whole time.
Bunker?
And they're kind of pissed when they get down. Like, look at all this food.
I
like,
know.
we can survive here forever.
Like, they've been hunting, like...
Birds.
Yeah, birds and stuff. They've been eating crows, like,
right.
Yeah.
Well, we keep hearing about the professor. Well, while they're down there, Mina goes to the computer and starts playing videos of the professor. He created all this, and he ended up capturing a Watcher, which we see behind a cage, and he ends up falling in love with it. Which is really, really weird. And he left instructions on how to find his boat so that if anybody finds this tape, they're able to escape. Now, we don't know what happened to the professor. I don't think it's ever really said what his final fate was.
He pretty much said that he was going to go kill the Watcher and himself.
Yeah, he's going to kill the Watcher and kill himself. You hear 2 gunshots.
But we don't know what really happened.
And we never see a body.
Right.
So you know how that goes.
Yeah. So then you have them trying to go find the boat, and they get out of the woods. They're by the lake, and this is when Daniel is tricked by one of the Watchers and is killed by the Watcher. It
takes the form of John again.
Yes.
And he's like, Daniel, please, I need your help. And, the girls are screaming at him, that's not John. And then ends up cutting his throat right in front. We talked earlier at the beginning about the bad VFX. This is the part, because when they are there, all the Watchers come out, and it looks awful. Mm-hmm. Like, they're all in the shape of John. They're all in the shape of Daniel, but it just does not look good at all.
No. So then Madeline, we find out that she is half human, half Watcher. So that's kind of like the plot twist, I guess.
Because you find out that this professor learned that back before there was a huge war. So I don't know. At one time they're called changelings. At one time they're called fairies. At one time they're called so many different. That's what we're talking about with the lore and how the lore changes, and you don't ever really get anything about it.
And I guess some of them mated with humans. And
they smashed with humans.
Now they're like half human, half Watcher, fairy, whatever.
And that's why
Madeline can go out into the sunlight.
Yeah, they call her a daywalker.
Yeah, because she is half human.
And she was a freak to her Watchers. But the professor ended up, because of this, that's why he fell in love with it. But then that's why he wanted to kill it and stop it and kill himself. She says that she killed him when he tried to kill her. We clearly heard 2 gunshots. So take that for what you will. But, I mean, the movie, I'm not a huge fan of the ending of this movie. There's another subplot we didn't go much into about Mina and her sister. Mm-hmm. Well, Mina goes to Kira's house and is telling Kira, like, yo, I went and I saw this picture Well, it turns out that the form of Madeline
is actually the professor's wife
that died in 2001 of lung cancer. And she's telling her this story, and Kira pulls up. And she turns around, she's like, "You're not Kira." And Madeline's like, "Well, I haven't perfected it yet." And then she turns back into Madeline. They have this huge fight. Well, then she ends up, talking Madeline down. Like, look,
I feel like I'm a bad person too because of the things that happened when she was younger that we did not get into.
Right.
With her mom and sister.
Another subplot that really is not that important.
Yeah, and she kind of like talks her down, like there's more of you out there. You don't have to.
You're not a freak. She didn't know that she was half human.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You're lying." And like another subplot we didn't mention is when the fairies were trapped underground, their wings disappeared.
Yeah.
Well, then she grows her wings back and flies off and is like, "I hope you're right, Mina." Well, then she takes the form of a little girl that apparently follows Mina around.
Follows her around all the time.
Don't know why. She just follows her to her sister's
she's
house.
A watcher.
Yeah, because she wants to watch her, apparently. And the movie ends with the little girl with a watcher face turning around and the CGI shit happening on her face again. So, overall, I give this a 2.5 out of 5 skulls.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. I was entertained. I did like the story. I felt like they tried something different, and it was good. I liked it.
I had a lot of fun with this movie. Giving it a 2.5 out of 5 is not a knock on this movie whatsoever. If it had ended a little better, I probably would have upped it a little bit. I was actually, the whole time, I thought we were going to get a dark ending. I was waiting for a dark ending. So maybe I let my own expectations get the best of me.
Yeah.
Because I really, really had that anticipation of, this is going to end darkly. We're going to get something really crazy that happens and it's going to be dark as hell. What if this kind of an uplifting, happy ending?
Yeah. Which it's okay sometimes to have an uplifting, happy ending.
Right. But the direction of the rest of the movie, the ending just didn't really jive with the rest of the movie to me.
Be dreadful the entire time.
Yeah,
I get that.
The whole movie is dread, dread personified. So, overall, like I said, 2.5, 3.5. We'll meet in the middle. We'll call this a 3-skull movie. Definitely go check this out. This is one that I would say check out in theaters. Yeah. It was definitely a good theater experience. If not, make sure you check it out when it comes to streaming because it's definitely worth a watch. And like I said at the beginning, the cast is absolutely amazing. Georgina Campbell, Dakota Fanning, especially, they really did an amazing job. And Ishana Shyamalan, I feel like she has a very bright future.
Absolutely.
And I think that she's going to be a very powerful director in horror suspense for years to come. Not just because of who her father is, but the direction, the cinematography, and the writing of this film were definitely the highest points for me.
Yeah.
So, if you guys haven't already, let us know in the comments. What did you think of The Watchers? Are you excited for the prospect of Ishana Shyamalan doing some original horror or thriller movies? What did you want out of The Watchers that you didn't get? So, we appreciate you guys watching. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps to build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror.
Stay who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.